Hello there, my dear friends. Good morning and good evening, wherever you are. It gives me a great pleasure to meet with you again and stay connected through these online sessions. Yes, the world is going through one of the terrible moments. We are in the middle of pandemic, and especially things have become really worse during the second wave in India. And I hope you're all safe, well, and please stay at home as much as possible. They have imposed a lot of lockdowns, and yeah, it's very important that we stay at one place and we don't get to do something that is unnecessary. If you can delay it and postpone it for a few more days, that really helps. It's just a matter of life and death. We are just one step away from death. Yeah, it's really terrible. All right. Follow all the directives that's been imposed by government of India. That's very important. Okay, so we are in this continuous discussion of dealing with multiple topics where many people have appreciated and told me this, that it's very helpful in terms of leading a very healthy life. I'm able to get a lot of positivity, and I was thinking differently that this is how it is. But when I started listening to your session, I started getting the insight. And not just that, we are also given, provision with a lot of tips how we could lead a better life. So that's the whole point of the session, that how we want to progressively march ahead in our lives and start doing great things, better things. Okay. So having said that, I would like to enroll a different topic today, and that's a very important topic, interesting topic: self-control. Okay. If somebody fails to control their emotions or themselves, what does it mean, themselves? Controlling emotions, right? And the technical word here is like emotional outburst, right? Many people get into a lot of emotional outbursts, and they say that, oh, you know what, when I get out of control, nobody nears me. Why? Because you're looking so scary. There is nothing to take pride out of this attitude. Many people think it other way, right? When I go mad, when I go berserk, they use words like this: my wife, my children, really, they run away from me. Why? Because they look at you like an animal, like you may bite them. So what I'm trying to say here is, people who battle with this problem of self-control, they are not able to control their emotions, their words out of their mouth, their reactions, and they end up in some stupid decisions most of the times, and to the extent of killing themselves. And many people who are not able to control themselves, right? They have a big problem in life. Is the way how not only medical science sees, not only psychology world sees, but also every human being can understand this, right? And therefore, at some point of time in your life, you need to really start giving a serious thought about this aspect, called as self-control. By definition, self-control is an aspect of what I would say inhibitory control. I would say a restricted way of controlling your thought process, controlling your emotions, and that builds the ability to kind of regulate one's emotions, thought processes, and the behavioral pattern in the way how you react, and that will be the reflection of what is running in your heart. See, never think people cannot understand what is in your heart. Whatever you talk, however the way you behave, that will be expressed pretty much in your face, and the face is like the index of your heart. You all understand this, right? So as an extensive or as the executive function, right? As an executive function, I would say self-control is a cognitive process, and that is necessary for regulating one's behavior in order to achieve specific goals. See, you may have a lot of visions in your life. You may even want to become aeronautical engineer, software engineer, doctor, and scientist, or whatever it may be. But for any of these to happen, the most important factor is patience, and patience goes hand in hand with self-control. Why? Because when something doesn't fall in your way, when something doesn't happen according to your likeliness or according to your intentions, then you go mad. That's what is called, lacking in self-control. Whereas we are here dealing with a subject of building that self-control. Therefore, you and I can do things in a certain composure, in a periodical way, in a gradual way, Therefore we will be able to attain that goal in a matter of time, right? Now, many questions, as usual, we do research and we ask questions and answers, therefore it gives you a lot of visibility, right? Why self control is so important, almost explained already, but then I would like to still add few more flavor to it, right? People who lack self control often give into a kind of an impulsive behavior, or get into a kind of an impulsive behavior and emotions. Now, what happens is, over a period of time, these emotions itself become their number one enemy. It becomes a hindrance, not only for them, they will not allow any of their family people or their relative circle or even their co-workers. You get a boss who's so arrogant in behavior that he doesn't understand, that he doesn't listen. Because why? The moment you tell him something, he always thinks in an offensive way. Oh, you know more than me, is it? What you can do with such a guy, right? So that is emotion, right? And that can be called as an ego also. But if he's not able to control that ego and open up his ears and then give attention to his co-workers, probably they have better thoughts and ideas, right? Now, self-control is an important skill to develop, uh, regardless of whichever role you play, whatever is your age, it doesn't matter. You have to develop this skill at regular intervals, because the same emotions occur in any person who feels that their need or or desires are not being met. See, that's the sad thing, right? They always feel, I'm not moving ahead, but they have not fixed the root cause. The root cause is they're not able to control their emotions. Controlling their emotions will become itself a kind of a change in the way how they are developing their ideas and thoughts. Yeah, right? If they're able to control their ego, right, self-controlling their ego, they become good listeners. Who knows, you may get 10 different ideas, out of which you filter it and take the best one. You might not have thought, because every people have talent around you. You shouldn't even think you are the only person. You shouldn't always think that you're the only person who can develop ideas, because nobody is more skillful than me. That's called as ego and arrogance, right? If you can control that ego and arrogance a little bit, then there are higher chances that you can progress forward in your life, right? What are the examples, self-control examples? Self-control is defined as the ability to manage your actions, feelings, and emotions, right? And these three things I already covered it, right? Emotions we have covered, feelings we have covered. When somebody says something, no offense, no defense, no revenge, nothing, right? You don't have to be like a piece of wood, right? We are all human beings, we have emotions, but then control your feelings, right? And your actions that emanate as a result of your emotion and feeling is also something that you need to watch out. So an example of self-control is when you want the kind of, the last cookie, but you use your willpower to avoid eating it, because it isn't good for you, right? um, Something tasty you have, for example popcorn, right? You you're already on diet plan, but then you have made a choice that you would like to have only the quarter of the packet. Then you compromise saying half of the packet. Then you compromise again three-fourths of the packet. Then you compromise still further, saying that it's okay, the packet looks very small, let me finish it off. What is that called as? Clear example of you lacking in self-control, right? I gave a very funny example. Like that, I can go on and on, excuse me, I can go on and on, but I don't think it's necessary. This is enough for you to understand, like, what we are trying to describe here is a kind of an attitude or a habit that must be kept under control, kept under measure, kept under governance, kept under supervision. And who's going to govern, supervise, and all that? You, no one else. Don't appoint an assistant. It doesn't work that way. You have to govern your own self, right? And that's why it's called a self-control. Is it possible to implement all of these things? Is it practically possible? Many people ask this question. The simple answer is practically possible. Since it is practically possible, is why we are picking such topics. Anything that is impossible, for example, we did not ask you to tie a tight rope between this end of the mountain to that isle of the mountain and walk with the balancing of the stick. Therefore, you can progress forward in your life. We never said that. Why? It's impossible and unnecessary, right? By walking on a tight rope, you achieve nothing, right? Maybe you achieve a book of Guinness record, either you're dead or alive. That's a different story. If you slip away, you fall right down into the cliff, right from the cliff. So we are not talking about such ideas or thoughts which is not helping, but easy things, easy factors which you and I can definitely achieve. Majority of people survived, and believe that majority of the people that are still surviving, that who or have overcome emotions and struggles in their life believe that self-control can be both learned and strengthened, right? You can inculcate, you can learn, and you can also use it as your strength. What is your strength? Self-control is my strength. Obviously, you can say it proudly and boldly, right? Self-control. Many people say their strength is, oh, you know what? I speak truth and all that. They behave, it's a little bit of hypocrisy. They don't speak the truth. When you ask some people this question, what is your strength? They don't say lack of self-control is my weakness, or they wouldn't end up saying self-controlling myself is the strength, because they feel little weird, little shameful. Oh, what is a self-control? That means you have a problem, that you don't control yourself. Every human being will have this problem, right? Only thing you are admitting honestly, nobody admits. That's the big difference, right? Researchers have also identified a number of different factors and strategies that can help people improve their self-control, which we are going to cover. Now, researchers have found that people who have better self-control tend to be much more healthier, happier, and they live long. We all want to live long. We say happy birthday to you. Why? Because yeah, 1 year you cross, it's a great blessing. Like that, you want to keep wishing, because why? You want to live long. You want your friends to live long. Nobody wants anybody to be killed, or even in this pandemic situation, we all love our near and dear ones to live healthy and alive. But yeah, unfortunate incident happens, and they live long. You want to live long, you better be a practitioner of or a believer in self-control. Then you will live long naturally. You will live healthy also. Can self-control be taught? Many people say self-control be practiced. Agreed. Can it be taught? Some people have high self-control from an early age, by birth, natural blessing, right? Some people become more self-controlled as they mature, right? They inculcate this new habit. And most importantly, most people, regardless of their baseline level of self-control, can be taught to exercise self-control. The short answer is yes. It can be, it must be practiced, but it also can be taught, right? Who can teach this? Anyone, right? Your own wife, your own husband, your own parents, your own children also can teach self-control to parents. By the way, there are a lot of fathers who lose their temper. The simple incident can make them lose their cool. Children can teach them. Anybody can teach anyone, but then you can pick some counselors. You can go and consult your medical practitioner, but check his level of self-control. It depends from whom you're learning, right? He must be an example of what he is teaching. That's when you learn the best out of him, and that becomes so realistic, and you can feel that. What are the qualities of self-control? The qualities of self-control, you can see a picture in the image, right? Balance, calmness, determination, confidence, and willpower, right? You will have a very balanced life. These are the qualities of self-control, or I would say these are the principles that you could learn from self-control. Balanced life means you will not feel too stressed. You will not be, oh, too much of work today. Someday you will say no work at all, I'm idle. No, you'll have a very balanced life. Why? Because you know how to control things. That happens every aspect, right? You'll be absolutely a very calm person, a cool-headed guy. You'll be very determined in your actions, right? When you get into something, you will not step back. Determined, only marching forward, no stepping backward, right? The fourth, confidence, about which we spoke in the last session, confidence. And fifth is willpower. You will have that willpower. I will be able to do it. Not again the tightrope example. You will not do some stupid things which you cannot do, which you know that there is a high risk of you falling to death, but you will have that willpower of doing some realistic things, and no one can stop you, right? So in adults, the personality characteristics related to self-control include kind of sensation seeking people, and emotional stability. These are the parameters, but all these parameters can be very well controlled with the help of these qualities of self-control being improved time and again, right? Now, impulsivity and the sensation seeking are negatively correlated with self-control, whereas emotional stability are positively correlated with self-control. So you need to understand what you need to control. That's exactly my point. Don't control your laughter. You want to feel like laughing when somebody cracks a joke. Oh, I'm a man of self-control. You laugh and you repent. And don't do like this, right? That looks so stupid. So you need to understand what you have to control, the negative aspects, the negative attributes. That's why we are giving few examples, right? The negative attributes are grumbling, complaining, murmuring, gossiping, and saying, this is not possible. You wouldn't even have tried. Did you try and fail? Then you can tell it is impossible. Somebody tried and somebody failed. Why are you taking examples from those people's life? Your own life is different. You're unique. Your skill set is different. It is possible, right? These are the things which you need to control as an emotion: anger, outburst immediately, offensiveness, right? And getting offended and getting into the habit of revenge. I will teach him a lesson. I will teach him surely sometime in my life, and I will show him who the real I am is all about. Who are you, right? We are all human beings at the end of the day, and one day we will be dead and gone, and nobody remembers after that. So in that short span of life, we need to live a life, that is kind of a blessing to others, and we help each other. And I keep telling you this: we are human beings. We need each other. We need to support each other. That's how the world survives. That's how the world runs and functions. Now, what are the components of self-control? So some of the nomenclatures we saw, and what are the quality attributes we saw of practicing the self-control. Now, what are the components of self-control? Components of self-control, in the sense, there are three main parts. For example, you take a car, you take a aircraft. It has several parts: tires, and the landing pistons, and something like that, right? And the seats, and so many things. In car, it's very simple: tires, engine, nozzles, and filters, air filter, AC, etc. You have likewise three components we have. Monitoring is the first aspect. It involves keeping track of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. You need to keep a kind of a journal. Journal in your heart also is fine. When was the last time you had gone into emotional outbursts and stuff like that, right? And the second thing is, first is monitoring. Second thing is standards. Standards are nothing but a protocol, or a kind of guidelines that steer us towards desirable responses. That is very important. And the third thing is the strength, right? Strength refers to the energy we need to control our impulses. In the sense, you need to have a strength to kind of induce that positive energy to control the negative energy. Negative energy flows out of you, and it disturbs the atmosphere, it pulls down the environment, it tears the people into pieces. When you have the negative energy, the words out of your mouth, oh my goodness, it's going to be terrible. So don't get into such experiences. Now, what causes you to want to lose self control, or what are the major reasons that somebody tends to lose self control, right? People would want to know this. When you're hungry, for example, right, or you lack the proper nutrients in your body, your willpower gets depleted. That's quite natural, right? Now, why do you think diets fail so much? People are trying to eat less food, and instead they end up starving themselves, depleting their willpower, thus losing self-control, and then end up overeating. See, I'm just taking a crude example here. You don't want to do something, but you end up doing something else, which ends up as even a worse thing, right? So when you don't want to do something, you need to first of all justify: is it going to help you? Is it, for example, controlling your anger? It helps you, right? It gives you that calm composure. You will have that cool head, and you will be able to build the atmosphere, build the people, build the environment, and stuff like that. But then you're controlling your for example, diet. That's what I exactly told you, right? You control the diet, and you end up and you end up starting to snack. For example, I eat very less food, but what happens? 3 hours later, you will be spot in the canteen eating this snack, and it's only a snack. It's only a juice, one glass of juice with this much of sugar and all that. It builds so many calories. Instead, you could have ate the food, homemade food, nutritious food, tummy full, and no problem, and drink, keep sipping warm water and stuff like that. That would have become a better diet, rather than you reducing the quantity of the food and ending up in the cafeteria 4 or 5 times. What happens? You end up building more calories. Similarly, you need to make certain decisions, that what you want to control in life. Is it a kind of a healthy practice? Is it going to build you, or is it going to kind of deplete you and get you to the lower side? That is the kind of call you need to make. Understand? Now, how do you test self-control? Whether you are a man who or a woman who is practicing already self-control, or whether you lack in self-control. Always we need to go through this testing procedure. One method is to directly assess people's self-control behaviors. For example, test people what they don't like. Talk to them about a topic what they don't like. You need to see their reactions, where they're able to control. See, what happens is, sometimes you really need to listen to people on topics what you may not like. You need to understand their perspective. Who knows, from that topic you may end up learning many other things which are necessary for your life. Being a listener, you don't lose anything, right? You have to just listen. And that is very much needed if you're in a corporate culture, if you're a student, if you're a teen. You definitely need to inculcate this habit. For instance, a researcher might have a person some might give a person some delicious cookies, right? Or ice cream, for example, and measure how much the person eats. People typically try to limit how much of these foods they eat, and so eating a large amount indicates a lack of self-control. Again, the eating is kind of another habit. And other topic is, for example, you give a topic, a person for in terms of a political topic, which are not in my control and your control, just to test the attitude of the person. Some people will be outbursting about the political. Look at this guy, he came here for voting and all that, and whatever we both are talking in this room, that politician cannot hear. That itself will tell how much this person lack in maturity and lack in self-control, right? The uh, the the incidents that trigger somebody emotions, how they handle it, determines their quality, right? Their quality of self-control. All right, we are going to close this with one topic, right? One more topic. How do I develop, what are the tips, how do I develop this self-control? I hope you understood, right? Self-control is very, very essential, but you need to understand and know what you need to control, right? You need to control the right things, and you need not control the things that are already right. I can't be many even simpler than this, right? It's very simple, right? You need not control the things that are already right, right? That becomes controlling bad things, controlling things for bad reasons. Okay, now how to develop this self-control? Some tips we will see, and with that we will close the session. Now, relax periodically, in the sense, you need to take breaks when you're getting into some tedious work, or maybe some work which you're doing in a routine way. What happens is, when you continuously do certain works mechanically, what happens is you will end up in some sort of impatience. You won't be able to getting into the highest capacity or level of tolerance. You won't be able to meet that. Therefore, taking regular breaks in the middle of a work, in the middle of a day, right? Go for not taking too many breaks. I don't mean to say that, but maybe probably 1.5 hours. Once you get up for 5 minutes, just walk around and come back and then continue. That induces some chemical in your brains, and that helps in self-control, is what researchers are saying. Get to know your real self, get to know the real who you are, right? It's very, very important to respect your own feelings, your own thoughts, your own desires, your own ambitions, your own goals. Many people don't do that introspective study or to understand the real who they are, and therefore they don't get to know their real strengths and weaknesses. Only when you got to know the real weaknesses, you can start imposing the self-control to control that weaknesses. So that is the second important aspect. Count down, for example, and then take action. For example, somebody talks something to you which is very irritating. It blew up your mind, right? It drove you mad. What you should do is have this practice of counting down: 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10, right? Have this number counting. Don't reply anything before that. What happens is the brain settles down. That's what the brain researchers have said, the medical practitioners have said. The brain settles down. And what I say, the studies have revealed that at least 70 to 75% of your anger, emotions, offense will settle down. Therefore, with the 25%, you may not create any harm to that person. Who knows? When you keep practicing it, immediately 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 100% gone. You become cool head, right? That is not a bad practice. You can definitely try that. It's going to only help you, right? Remind yourself why you started. Why you started what? Correct. Some people, they don't tend to look back. See, looking back at bad things is a bad habit, but looking back on a mission what you started and you have not yet achieved that mission, it's just stagnant or getting delayed too much. And you need to really look back on what you started or why you started, and that really is going to help you to impose a lot of self-control on what you are doing. Because why? It prevents you to end up in some sort of disappointment, right? And therefore, what happens, your self-control really gets shaken. Get to know your weaknesses, about which I already spoke, right? Practice prioritizing. Why I am saying all of this is, when you prioritize things, you definitely can control things. When you control things, you can control yourself, right? When you lose control is when you don't plan, prioritize, and strategize. These three things are nomenclatures, attributes of a visionary, right? About being a visionary, I've already spoken. Dream big and stuff like that, right? When you are into these practices, without a doubt, you will have control over everything that you do in your life. Therefore, when you have control over everything that are around, surrounding your circumstance, surrounding your situation, you have absolute natural control on yourself, on your emotions and thought process, right? um, I think with that, pretty much, yeah, an important aspect is for every session I keep telling this: please get adequate sleep, because the melatonin hormone is very important for us to have that calm and cool mindset, and your thought process really works well, and you're not going to lose your emotions, or you're not going to be in that kind of panic situation, or get paranoid for even simple things and stuff like that. So adequate sleep is definitely very important. These are some of the tips I could think of. There are many tips, but then if you start with these, I think naturally you will get more ideas and thoughts. You don't need teachers; we become teachers to ourselves, and that's the beauty of working upon yourself, right? We don't give importance to ourselves, and that's the reason we end up with many problems in life. We end up taking care of our children, taking care of wife, taking care of husbands, taking care of our work, cars. You clean your cars, but you don't clean your brains enough. You don't clean your heart enough. You don't introspect enough, right? You need to give importance to your own self. All right, with this, we call this a discussion. I hope you enjoyed, it was useful. Please come and give feedback, subscribe to our channel, and get access to all our motivational videos. There are many videos which we have done. It's going to only help you. And please comment and give feedback. We can improve our quality of recording and the content. And at the same time, please let us know if you need any new sessions. A pleasure to help you. Bye bye. God bless you. And soon I will meet you with a new topic.